In 2010, when he put his name in the ballot to contest in the Makadara by-election and Anak Kenya ticket, so little was known of him. So few would have even rooted for him to beat veterans in the political game, among them experienced politician Ruben Ndolo. But 35-year-old Gideon Kioko at the time had other ideas. He went on to floor political heavyweight Ndolo to sail through to the August House in his debut stab at politics. No sooner had Gideon Kioko, who had since been nicknamed Sonko, owing to his deep pockets, claimed his spot to represent the people of Makadara in parliament, than trouble began brewing within the Martha Karua-led NAK Kenya party. Sonko, who had been accused of defying the party's rules, would be expelled from the party for associating himself with the G7 alliance led by then Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta and Eldoret North MP William Ruto. Sonko's association with the duo that had announced its interest to run for presidency in the 2013 general elections did not seem to rest easy with his party leader Martha Karua, who had also declared her bid to run for presidency in the same polls. The conflict of interest saw Sonko's unique dalliance with Karua come to an abrupt end. But despite the expulsion posing a risk to Sonko's legitimacy to hold office, the first-time MP, who was at the time moving crowds with his defender of Nairobi's downtrodden narrative, held on to complete his term.
How he grew, it's very interesting because at that time I used to work with Mishuki, so I would know when a bit of the things. So this is what happened. That time, you remember, the Mungikis were very terrorizing and very ruthless. Now Sonko comes into Buruburu and with this group they were able to ensure Mungikis don't come to really fight people in Makadara. And so that's how the people said, wewe venye ulitusaidia kweli, hatukuuawa na nini, wewe sasa ndio unaenda kuwa mheshimiwa. That's how it just became.
He was appealing to a base that felt that the guys who were at the time are not fully appreciating what they want. So that base became excited about his candidature and has propelled him so far.
In 2013, Sonko threw his hat in the ring yet again, this time in the Nairobi City County senatorial race. Under the National Alliance TNA ticket, Sonko garnered more than 800,000 votes, beating his competitor, ODM's Margaret Wanjiru, who had garnered a distant 525,000 votes.
Mimi nakuhakikishia tutafanya pamoja so that we can make a difference to the lives of the people of Nairobi.
His term as Nairobi's senator kicked off with assurances from both Sonko and Nairobi's pioneer governor Evans Kidero that the duo would combine wits to transform Nairobi despite their party rivalry. But hardly had the dust settled when Sonko's bromance with Governor Kidero began to form cracks. What began as a row over the controversial Sonko rescue team will culminate into this brawl, pitting Sonko and Kidero at the Senate in June 2016, exposing the deep-seated cracks in Nairobi's top leadership. That confrontation will, however, not be the first nor the last. Come 2017, Sonko went head-to-head with Kidero again, this time in the polls in the race for Nairobi governor. But unlike the first physical fight that arguably did not have a clear winner, this time around Sonko convincingly bet Kidero, who was seeking re-election, to topple him from Nairobi's top seat. The change of guard was met with cheers among groups that had felt the city needed a popular politician on the wheel over a technocrat.
It was within September, if I'm not wrong, 2017. So we came in, you are excited, you've removed Kidero, and you're like, we are going to now really transform. And one of the things I always remember when we were walking and the president said, Nairobi has to be our legacy.
It has been a while since Jubilee got a majority position in Nairobi. So we had control of the assembly, we had won the executive, we had the national government. So all these things aligned becomes at least you have the support of even the national government to run an agenda.
But just 5 months into his election as Nairobi governor, Sonko, who had since mastered the art of raising eyebrows, had his supporters, especially those within political circles, second-guessing their choice when he fell out with his deputy Polycarp Igathe.
These were the first initial signs that Nairobians should have noted that things are not working very well. For us, we thought also, and we tried to steer the ship in a manner. We felt that the first and foremost thing is to get a replacement quickly fast, and also try to address the issues that Igathe felt were not working.
You know, when you get into leadership, we can agree and disagree, and I think that is why Deputy Governor Igathe could not, because he is coming from a place where you wake up in the morning, the first thing you need to do is to meet your team very early in the morning so that when everybody is going, you're on the same page. That was Igathe.
Igathe's resignation will leave a hole in the city leadership for the years to come, with Sonko unable to fish for a suitable replacement for Igathe.
I believe Sonko had a chance to yes, he has his own inadequacy, but he also refused to be helped.
Corruption allegations and incapability to steer the Nairobi gubernatorial ship effectively further rocked Sonko's reign in Nairobi.
The 3 years of Governor Sonko, I can describe it as a 3 years of theatric dramas and innuendos from the governor, nothing tangible.
It's a case of jumping out of maybe the frying pan into the fire, but it's the nature of politics. If this one is not working, they go to the other extreme.
Even the few roads which have been done in 2018 is just a rollover from Kidero's period.
This put the governor at loggerheads with the Nairobi County Assembly that accused Sonko of bulldozing his policies and agenda through it.
Sonko came in office with the same shenanigans from the streets. He started boxing every staff, calling every staff a cartel, calling everyone a professional, a thief. You know, when a professional gives you a program of events that this is the right way to go, and he feels you're the boss, you're not getting it, the morale of that staff doing another paper next time becomes a problem. Basically, Sonko's managerial skill was streetwise, and it wasn't fitting in the pedigree of the city of Nairobi.
The war of words had its casualties. First to fall was then City Hall Speaker Beatrice Elachi, whom hitherto accuses Sonko of turning the county assembly against her. Despite surviving an initial attempt by the county assembly to impeach her in 2018, she would ultimately be ousted 2 years later after months of bad blood with a section of Nairobi MCAs.
Now, this conflict is an imaginary conflict of Sonko. An imaginary that thinking, in his words, huyu mama, unajua huyu mama sasa anaanza kutuchezea, huyu mama tumtoe, imaginary. People will go and say, oh mama, if he just sat and reflected, he needs to ask us himself, where was the threat? The only committee Sonko sent to me is kwendeni mpige huyo mama, kwendeni mnyoroshe huyo mama mpaka atoke.
Others to follow are most of the county executive members who served in Sonko's administration.
Within Sonko's 3 years, like about 10 CCs, ministers of finance in the county. I mean, then what are you able to do? I mean, every 3 months is a turnover. So it means either you have no clue what needs to happen, or you're just gerrymandering.
If you see all the CC Sonko has ever fired, no one made a mistake. Just because he fires you, returns you, and then sells fear into you and blackmail, it can't work.
Hot on the heels of the fallout between Sonko, members of his administration and MCAs, was this dramatic arrest in December 2019, where Sonko was accused of siphoning 357 million shillings from the public coffers. Seemingly in unfamiliar territory, Sonko will come face to face with the full force of the law. He would 2 days later be released on bail, albeit at a caveat: he was not to step foot in his office pending hearing and determination of the corruption case. The ban from accessing office exacerbated an already dire situation in City Hall. The city now had a governor who was barred from accessing office and no deputy to run affairs while the governor was away. This saw Sonko in January 2020 nominate Anne Kananu Mwenda, his umpteenth nomination in this case, for vetting into the position of Nairobi Deputy Governor. But just after the IEBC had given the green light for Kananu's vetting, a Nairobi voter went to the High Court to oppose the exact vetting. This saw Justice Hedwig Ongundi halt the vetting for the duration of the trial, spoiling the party for Sonko. Seemingly out of options, Sonko in February 2020 struck a deal with the national government to co-run the affairs of Nairobi. This led to the birth of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services that will be mandated to run 4 critical functions in Nairobi, among them health, transport, public works and planning, a decision that the MCAs insist they were kept in the dark in its making despite their crucial role in the city.
Now you yourself, you've signed your deed. We have to think about it and work around it and make the things work as you wanted. You can't come and blame us.
And the NMS, before even the president was telling us about it, they had already agreed with the governor. So again, we tracked and we saw at least they were trying to do some things. Then, I don't know, again, the governor says he was not party to it.
I call Sonko's management style as a dog management style. A dog management style is just you jump from this corner to this without a strategy. You know, when you go to an institution, first you must come up with a SWOT analysis of the institution.
This saw a section of the MCAs apparently fed up with Sonko, hatch a plan to impeach the embattled governor, only for President Uhuru Kenyatta to come to the rescue of a man running his own rescue team on the 11th hour.
Uhuru akaniambia, huyu gavana ni kama ndugu yangu, mimi nimekuwa kama baba yake, mimi nimekuwa kama mjomba wake. He has been a very close friend of mine. Na mimi jambo hili linanikera zaidi. Okay, Uhuru mwenyewe tulizungumza mambo haya.
Before this impeachment, there was another one early in February 2020 that had even more steam. When now the president had to call us in and we had agreed on a process of a midwife, stopgap measure by the name of NMS.
So when you are told in February, no, one step was ahead, the other one was behind. They say, okay, we've still advanced. At least we have the documents, we have everything it takes, we have the charges, we have the grounds, we have the particulars. Now here, we are looking for political goodwill. Then it came a goodwill. When the goodwill came, we took the shot, and that's it.
7 months later, Sonko, who was now juggling between court proceedings, running part of the county affairs, as well as picking fights with NMS's Director General Mohamed Badi over the supremacy for the city, was not out of the woods yet. The MCAs hatched yet another impeachment plan, this time with the blessings of President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM party leader Raila Odinga, that culminated into Sonko's removal from office.
The Assembly has resolved to remove His Excellency the Governor, Mike Sonko, from office by 2/3 of the members.
First by City Hall, then by Senate.
I vote yes.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
In December last year, his chaos-ridden reign in Nairobi had ground to a halt, his fate sealed.
I think we were not harsh on him. Because if you were, then senators should have been more lenient. Then the courts should have been more lenient. Then maybe in the next general election, we see if he's going to come back. We will see if even the public, if he's more lenient. But clearly the systems had gone solo.
Arising is not a problem. It's how you manage that arising from nobody to somebody.
Not to give up without a fight, Sonko challenged his impeachment in the High Court, a move that saw by-elections in Nairobi halted. A silver lining in the thick cloud of uncertainty would, however, come to the fore when the petitioner, who had challenged Anne Kananu's nomination, withdrew the petition. Kananu has since been vetted, approved and sworn in as Nairobi Deputy Governor, pending her swearing in as first female Nairobi Governor.
Party after party, after party after party.
Sonko's character pre- and post-impeachment has further come under the microscope lately, most notably this public spat with President Uhuru Kenyatta and Interior PS Karanja Kibicho.
Kwa hivyo mimi nakuambia wewe Kibicho, wewe Matiangi, ujinga wenu, upuzi wenu, muache kuharibia Hustler Nation.
Enough is enough, and Sonko will provide me answers. So he would better prepare some good lawyers.
Huyu si yule rais ambaye sisi na hao viongozi wako hapa wakiongozwa na William Samoei Ruto ambaye tulimkampenia kuchaguliwa tena muhula wa pili. Tunajua kuna uchawi na urogi ndani yake.
Wewe kazi yako iwe kuendelea kuvaa magoggles.
Huyu mlevi anasema mimi kazi yangu ni kuvaa goggles.
His notorious phone calls were at one time. He even put President Uhuru Kenyatta on loudspeaker, have also continued to cause a stir and could potentially land him in hot soup.
It's a character synonymous to a person. The few times I dealt with him a lot of times, and we even had that discussion about recording, and I used to tell him, I don't mind you recording me because I'll never tell you something that I don't believe in. I was on record telling him things are not going the way you think they're supposed to be going, and to be open and speaking truth to power. Now, if you are in deals, then maybe that person would be afraid of being recorded.
You know, when Sonko is wearing his rings, you will fear because you don't know whether it has a mic. When he's wearing his glasses, you will fear because here he might have a mic.
You know, he's a good guy in these things of recordings. I have evidence of so-and-so talking so-and-so. He's good in that. He's also part of occupying himself, so he can do best there.
This arrest on 1st February, shortly after presenting himself at the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road to record a statement over his remarks that he and Kibicho participated in the 2017 post-election violence, saw him arraigned at the Kiambu law courts on the following day. He is facing up to 10 charges following another violence incident in his Buruburu backyard in January 2019. A day later, Sonko was rearraigned at the Kahawa West law courts over terrorism-related charges. Investigators insist Sonko and his bodyguards have been wearing military attire against the law. The growing pile of cases against Sonko could see him ultimately spend time behind bars if he is found guilty, and if the court was to also dismiss his petition challenging his impeachment, Sonko is constitutionally staring at a decade of no politics.
So you look at the consequences and you realize I can touch this and this, but the ones with the consequences, tuachane naye. That will not have taken him to court even today.
I believe he's learning something, that every office we hold in trust is not our personal property, as I've always kept telling him. Being a governor of Nairobi does not equate you to your own entity. It's not your own entity. And he has to learn from it. Though the constitution now as it is, unless otherwise, does not permit him to hold any public office, which becomes a good riddance, an example to others.
He's a private citizen now. I think Kenyans should, with all due respect, ignore him.
But whether Sonko will at the end of it all survive or drown in the raging stormy sea of woes, and whether his political friends and foes will have a hand in either, your guess is as good as mine. David Mudhoka, TV 47.